Sir, is there anything you wish to say at this time before sentence is imposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, today is the culmination of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Banfield. It's Friday. It's June 5th. We are going to be watching his sentencing together in front of Judge Azcarate. The order today is going to be impact statements, attorney arguments, Brendan's elocution if he chooses to make a statement, and then the court's sentence. I want to hear what Judge A has to say.
Again, my name is Danielle Hawker, and Christine Banfield is my younger sister.
Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry.
My family has publicly stayed silent since my sister's murder, except for a brief statement after the trial concluded. We chose to protect Christine and Mallory to prevent the media from contorting our words or create fodder for keyboard warriors. We were, however, not spared the media's attention.
Who goes after victim families?
The hours following Christine's murder, I received a call from a reporter masked in sympathy, asking for a statement and pictures of Christine.
Holy shit.
Since then, my husband and I have received countless calls and emails, but they pale in comparison to the overwhelming volume my parents have endured. Christine does, however, deserve to be talked about by those that loved her. Grief is not something that is done on display or shared, except those closest to you, and even then, it is more often hides behind closed doors in quiet moments. Internally, I feel like a different person, like my identity has shifted in an unimaginable way. Part of who I was, who I still am, is a big sister, and in what seemed like seconds, it was taken from me, taken from us. While justice was served, it does not lift the grief or make more space for it. It will never bring Joseph Ryan back to his loved ones or Christine back to our family. When we were little, Christine and I would often get mistaken for twins. We were nearly 4 years apart, my baby sister, or my sissy, as I like to call her. We both had curly hair, but otherwise, I didn't understand what other people saw. When I look into a mirror, I sometimes see her first, my face replaced by hers, and in a flash, she's gone, and I'm left confused by my own reflection. She was her own person, never trying to be me, but always wanted to be by my side, and I hers. I don't remember much of my life before she was born. I have only a handful of memories that are more like looking at a picture. I do have a vivid memory of going to the baby doctor with my mom and Grammy, our maternal grandmother, who we also called Grammy Bird. Grammy would keep me entertained by walking around outside and picking flowers. During one appointment, I was stung by a bee and became upset, wanting my mom. Grammy brought me inside, where a baby monitor showed a dark, blurry image I couldn't understand. As she held me, my mom pointed to it and said it was the baby. At just about 4 years old, the same age as Valerie was when Christine was killed, I was excited to be a big sister. Once she was born, I became we. I haven't stopped saying we when I speak about my childhood after her death, except now when I do, it takes my breath away, a pause filled with love that has nowhere to go. We were each other's first friends, sleeping in each other's bedrooms, in sleeping bags, on the floor, or in tents in the den. I climbed in her crib several times and attempted a solo diaper change unsuccessfully. Our best friends were sisters. We would stay up late on Saturday nights, waiting for our dad to come home from his 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. shift, watch Saturday Night Live, and eat hot bagels he picked up on his way home. Our favorite show was Full House, and we would get in giggle fits at our grandparents' house for no reason.
Who wasn't watching Full House at this time?
She would fall asleep anywhere, like a New Kids on the Block concert, or in a short car ride telling me to wake me up when we be there.
She could fall asleep anywhere. This is a good nursing skill. We love this.
She was obsessed with the Backstreet Boys, specifically Kevin from the Backstreet Boys. She loved them so much, she and her best friend camped outside a Rite Aid while the moms took
I bet she would have loved to have seen them in Vegas, Brendan.
turn sleeping in the car in a parking lot. This was the 90s. There was no internet, only a Ticketmaster at a drugstore.
Yep.
She loved Brad Pitt, Legends of the Brad Pitt, so much that if she had a boy, I was sure she would name him Tristan. We got our first haircuts from our paternal grandfather, a professional barber in our backyard. and he would give us Charms lollipops from his in-home barbershop and shove $5 in our hands as we left.
Okay, those things are the best.
We didn't have internet until high school and cell phones until college. We played outside catching tiny frogs, lightning bugs in jars, and used our imaginations to find fun anywhere.
Because it's lightning bug season.
We had family traditions that mostly revolved around food, Italian food to be specific. In our house, we ate macaroni, not pasta, and sauce, not gravy. Holidays, birthdays, Sunday dinners, and countless big and small events were spent with our aunts and uncles. Our grandparents were a large part of our upbringing as they were ever present in our lives. Grammy Bird passed away in September of 2022, just 5 months before Christine. Our family was still grieving her loss when Christine died. Even though we may have looked similar, we each had our own distinct personalities. She was kind and caring.
What a beautiful way to explain what was lost by explaining what they had.
Precocious as a little girl, thoughtful and wise beyond her years. It was no surprise when she said she wanted to be a nurse at a young age. Her warmth only grew as she got older. She had a way about her that made people feel comfortable and welcomed without effort. New people scared me, and I was awkward in social situations. She loved being around friends, and large groups didn't intimidate her like they did me. She was a resident advisor in college, always looking for ways to help others. She was reliable and selfless, and would give up her own time to help a friend in need. The memories we shared growing up helped shape my sense of love, family, and who I am. They felt simple and whole, filled with laughter, safety, and love. Since losing her, those same memories have changed. They are no longer just joyful, but layered with grief.
Yeah.
Each one a reminder of both how much I had and how much was taken. When Christine found out she was pregnant with Mallory, she was living in New York. Joe and I were living in New Hampshire. She mailed me a card that said, "I miss the crap out of you." It made me giggle, and when I opened it, there was a sonogram picture that immediately made me think of her on that baby monitor. I was so excited for her. Deep inside, I was sad for myself and my husband. Just the day before, I'd had an invasive test after several years of infertility, which led to more questions than answers. I never told Christine about that procedure, and I regret not leaning on her for support. I didn't truly know Brendan at all. I don't believe anyone did. Not family, not friends, and certainly not Christine.
Accurate.
His testimony was the most self-serving display of narcissism I have ever witnessed. What he presented as affection was manipulation. What may have appeared as love was nothing more than strategy. If there had been any genuine intent to build a life with Juliana, he could have chosen a lawful and honest path. He could have divorced and moved on. But divorce would have required relinquishing control, and control was always the priority.
Bing, bing, bing.
His actions were not driven by love, but a desire for power, deception, and a complete disregard for the lives he destroyed. Christine chose to dedicate her nursing career to caring for the most vulnerable, to babies and children during their most difficult moments. She provided comfort to frightened parents who wish they could take their children's place. She made those moments more bearable with her big smile and infectious laugh. I can still hear her laugh in my head. Christine dedicated herself to her daughter, who will grieve her loss at every milestone in her life. I will be there, never to replace my sister, but to tell Valerie who her mother was, remind her of her big laugh and even bigger heart. I will tell Valerie how much she was loved by her mother, and I will forever carry both the grief of losing her too soon and the gratitude of having loved her for 37 years and being loved by her in return. That bond will not end because we will always be sisters. I want to thank the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for their commitment to pursuing justice, to the members of the jury for their time, care, and responsibility they took in reaching their verdict, to the Fairfax County Police Department for their dedication to seeking the truth and for honoring my sister and Joseph Ryan's life through your work. To the Victim Services team for their compassion, care, and support they have shown my family, going above and beyond for us during an unimaginable time. And thank you, Your Honor, for your commitment to fairness throughout this trial, for your patience today, and for allowing me this opportunity to share a small glimpse of who Christine was, what she meant to me and my family, and how her loss has profoundly shaped and will continue to shape my life.
My name is Deirdre Maureen Fisher.
And your relationship to Joseph Ryan?
I was Joseph Ryan's mother.
You are.
And do you have a statement that you would like to read describing the impact of Joe's loss in your life?
I would, yes, thank you.
Please go ahead.
When I had Joe, I was just 16. I did not have financial, legal, or physical ability to raise my son. Despite being discounted as his mother, I fought for the right to see him and prevailed as a loving part of his life. Joe became old enough by the age of 14 to pursue a closer relationship with me. He told me at one point I was the reason he learned how to love unconditionally. I spent holidays and vacations with Joe. He called me often. Our closeness spanned the rest of his lifetime. I was the last person he called the night before he was brutally murdered. He sent me a photo of himself that night. It was the last time I got to hear the word mom. I got a call about his murder 2 days after it occurred. As in life, in death, Joe was taken from me over and over again. The lead detective explained he had not been told I was Joe's mother.
What?
He was compassionate, and I would go on to include me, as he did, and the defense team in updates about the murder investigation and legal process.
Oh, that's so hard.
Brandon Banfield, his defense team, even some of the press carelessly characterized Joe as the intruder.
Yes, they did.
The fetish guy into rough sex. The rapist and the murderer. Or simply the other forgettable guy. Not even showing Joe's face during the murder trial. Joe was chosen because Brendan Banfield thought he would make a good dupe.
Yeah.
To be framed for
He was the fall
planned
guy.
murder of his wife.
He was absolutely the fall guy.
As with so many other things, Brendan was wrong. In some ways, my son was flawed, regular Joe. But he also had some amazing qualities.
Ma'am, humans are flawed. We're all humans.
Joe was extremely caring. He lived with his grandmother and was dedicated to her health and her well-being. He moved to Florida to care for his parental grandfather, Pap, before he died from advanced dementia. He went for 2 months to care for a woman he loved who had radical hysterectomy, also taking care of her young daughter. That's part of who Joe was. Joe was a guy who believed in fighting for the underdog and even actual neglected dogs. He would walk into an animal shelter and ask for the oldest, ugliest dogs. Bring them home and love them for years. When Joe was murdered, he left behind a dog named Kitty, who waited for him
Of course.
at the top of the stairs. Joe also did things like gardening, feeding stray cats, teaching autistic kids to do jujitsu, and working at a homeless shelter. He believed that those with less should be fairly treated and supported, that Black and brown people should not be marginalized. Joe also was a feminist. He spoke out about the mistreatment of women during the start of the Me Too movement. Although he was chosen as a scapegoat from a website that is considered fetish, he was on that site to find a consenting partner. Joe wasn't just the disposable caricature he was made out to be. He had a face, he had a name, he had a life.
Yeah.
But Brendan Banfield shot his face, soiled his name, and treated his life as disposable. My son was a kind human being who had a full life of meaning. In contrast, Brendan will remain known as an abusive father,
A murderer.
the brutal murderer of his dedicated and compassionate, beautiful wife, and a narcissistic killer
Get him, ma'am.
of an innocent man. I have never directly spoken to Brendan,
Don't.
and I won't today. To me, he's nothing more
Yeah, there's nothing there.
than what I just said.
Yeah.
But Joe, yes, Joe, was someone to me. He was my baby boy, my biggest supporter, and the man I think was pretty special and never forgettable. Thank you so much for letting me say this out loud and share some of my love for Joe and the loss I felt I will always feel. He was part of me,
Yeah, that loss
and I
is
will
not
never
going
get
away.
that back. But I will choose to live in his fighting spirit and with his voice in my head. Be kind to yourself, Mom. Take better care of yourself, Mom. Love you, Mom. I won't forget you, Joe. I hear you now. Thank you.
Sir, is there anything you wish to say at this time before sentence is imposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm greatly disappointed in the legal system.
this motherfucker. Right. This motherfucker. Bro, I'm greatly disappointed in the legal system. They figured my shit out.
The system has failed not only me, but also Christine, my daughter Valerie, the Bensons, and the rest of my family. I was found guilty of a crime that I did not commit, but it's actually impossible to have committed the crime, as the prosecution, their experts, and their witnesses have presented. The prosecution and their witnesses' statements do not match the evidence. My rights to defend my family has been taken away, to defend my home and myself. This is a protected right that I'm sure everyone listening here knows they have.
Wrong.
My right has been discarded. When Juliana was questioned about the details of the case, she was unable to verify or remember the information. Juliana did not know the password to Christine's phone, the laptop, the email account, the Telegram, or the FetLife accounts. She did not even know the name of the email account. How could she have accessed it without any of that?
Oh, because you logged on.
Without any of that information. Juliana claimed that she wrote messages, but could not identify a single message that she wrote.
That's
Juliana
not true.
said that the Gmail was created on the laptop when it was created on the phone. then said that I deleted the two-factor authentication, which was never deleted, never hidden, was still there. There is no dispute that Joe Ryan brought the knife to my home.
Because you told him
My
to.
DNA and fingerprints are not on the knife. Joe Ryan's DNA is on the knife, right at the junction of the handle and the blade.
It's his kitchen knife.
The DNA is right where you would expect it to be for someone who is forcefully using the knife.
You told him to bring a knife. He brought a Santoku kitchen knife.
I believe only one of Joe's friends was also interviewed. He stated that in a confrontation, Joe would choke or strangle somebody. This matches Joe's social media profile, saying that he studied neck snapping at Harvard.
What are you talking about?
To add to that, where was Christine stabbed? In the neck, which Joe seems to have a fondness for.
I hope his family members walked out and didn't sit through this bullshit.
These things are some of quotes from other people, not from me. Joe had previously also cut another woman. It's in his...
Sir, trying to conflate consensual sexual encounters and this case are so not the same, because you sought out Joseph Ryan for an encounter that included knife play. So it is not baffling to anyone that if that was something that he was comfortable with, that might be something that he engages in with someone else who is comfortable with it, which is why you were looking for him.
Christine was a wonderful and loving person. Just as you heard from many of the people here, she was a loving and compassionate nurse. During COVID, she volunteered to take care of many of the people that were sick and struggling. She signed up for extra shifts. She signed up for vaccination clinics. She cared for her daughter. She enrolled her in dance lessons. She was there for
her daughter? You can't even talk about your daughter.
Her recitals. I loved her very much. Despite what you may think of my affairs, our marriage worked for us. It wasn't something that I looked to end. It was told to other women that I was never going to leave Christine. That was always how it was said.
And that's how it remained, didn't it? You were never going to leave Christine.
Christine cared very much for her family and friends. I'm not trying to diminish in any way what her life was. She truly was a caring mother, a caring wife, a loving nurse.
And yet.
But I am not responsible for her death.
You couldn't even say that.
This is not a knife that I ever held in my hand. And I never stabbed her. Thank you.
Look at his nod. He was like, I got that one out. I got that out. Sir, just like your devices, your body is telling on you.
A jury of your peers, after hearing all the evidence, has found you guilty of count 1 of the indictment 2024-666, aggravated murder of 2 people in the same act or transaction. They found you guilty of count 4 of 2024-666, aggravated murder of 2 people within a 3-year period, count 5 of 2024-666, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and count 1 of...
And yes, the end of the indictment, the last 3 on the indictment, it's the indictment ending 666. That's accurate. There are 2 indictments here, but the first indictment is for that. There's also a child endangerment.
2024-873, child endangerment. In accordance
That's
with
the other
Virginia law, although
docket.
you have been found guilty of 2 counts of aggravated murder, the court can
They
only
merge.
sentence you on 1 count of aggravated murder.
'Cause they merge.
Which will be count 1 of 2024-666. The statute requires a sentence of life imprisonment on this count, which is now the highest penalty one can receive in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This exact statute was our capital murder statute until Virginia abolished capital punishment in 2021. Life in prison is a punishment reserved for a very small number of individuals, those whom the community has determined should never walk free again. It is a harsh sentence, but in this case, it is a justified one. In the 18 years I've been on the bench, I have seen hundreds of defendants appear before me, and I have had the arduous task of sentencing these individuals. In the vast majority of these cases, people made mistakes, were struggling with substance use disorders, or acting in anger, choosing violence in a moment that changed everything. They were not inherently bad people, but they made terrible decisions and suffered.
I feel like Judge A is just speaking my experience into existence as well, because this case is rare. And I love that she's pointing it out to him and setting up there are a lot of cases born out of really bad decisions in a moment. This isn't that.
Everything. They were not inherently bad people, but they made terrible decisions and suffered the consequences. Sentencing in those cases is difficult. It weighs on me, often long after the hearing is over.
Here it doesn't.
Only 2 times prior to today have I encountered something different in my courtroom. 2 individuals that carried no remorse, calculated, and planned their violent crimes and left many victims and devastation in their path. As I listen to the evidence in this case and listen to your testimony, it is apparent that I am once again looking at that same kind of evil.
Yep.
The disregard of the life of your wife, someone you supposedly loved, is almost unfathomable. Scheming for months, a master plan involving so many moving parts, including deception and manipulation, luring a completely innocent man into your deadly trap, continuing on after the murders without a care, and not once thinking of the impact on Christine's daughter, the unspoken tragic victim of your behavior.
Good for you, Judge A.
You did not just take her mother from her, you placed her in the middle of the horror you created.
His face changed quite a bit after she called him evil.
You did not just take her mother from her, you placed her in the middle of the horror you created. She is young now, but one day she will understand your true self, and she will understand what you took from her, which is everything. The loss of her mother, who will never be a part of her life as she grows, the loss of her family and the security she lived under. All of this is lost based on your calculated and selfish behavior. It is impossible to comprehend what Joseph Ryan experienced, seeing you enter the room, being shot in the head, blinded, hearing you instruct the co-defendant to shoot him again.
Yeah.
And Christine, to imagine her final thoughts as she initially thought you were there to save her from what she thought was a brutal attack. And then to see you over her stabbing her again and again with a knife in her neck. Her final realization that this was all you're doing. And in her final moments, thinking of her daughter.
Terrific.
The sentence I impose today reflects not only the law, but the judgment of the community. The jury did not find you credible on the stand.
Because you're
to
not.
testify as you did shows the court that you still think that you are the smartest person in the room.
Get it!
One would hope that someday you will become.
Oh, Judge A!
To testify as you did shows the court that you still think that you are the smartest person in the room. One would hope that someday you will become tortured by what you have done to Christine, Joe,
Your
Christine's
Honor.
daughter, and their families. But nothing I have seen suggests that you will. The level of cruelty, calculation, and inhumanity in this case reflects something far deeper than anger or impulse.
Yep.
It reflects evil, which is why I carry no burden and find no hesitation in sentencing you to life. On count 1 of 2024-666 aggravated murder, I sentence you to life in the penitentiary for the rest of your natural life without the possibility of parole, without good conduct allowances, or any earned sentence credits or conditional release. On count 5 of 2024-666, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, I sentence you to 3 years in the penitentiary, which is a mandatory term and cannot be suspended. Since it is required by statute, an additional 6 months is ordered and suspended for post-release probation, which is a nullity in this case, but is required to be part of the sentence. On count 1 of 2024-873, child endangerment, I sentence you to 5 years in the penitentiary. Since it is required by statute, an additional 6 months is ordered and suspended for post-release probation, which is again a nullity in this case, but is required to be part of the sentence. Each of these sentences are consecutive, that is one after the other. And since you've been convicted of a felony in Virginia, a sample of your DNA will be taken and submitted to the Virginia State Police database.
Today was the end of a long 3-year journey. We were able to, at conviction and now at sentencing, really get justice for Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan. And I think what you saw today was the only appropriate sentence in this case, which is that Brendan Banfield.
It was the only legally available sentence, sir. Also, I think what we saw today was Banfield being his whole true self. You saw the mask slip there. We went from the puppy dog eyes under the brows to the rage face.
What happened today really showed Brendan Banfield is a remorseless killer. Even today, he tried to make himself out to be the victim in this case.
I agree with that.
And that's why we think the sentence that he got today, life in prison, no possibility of parole, no possibility of sentencing credits, is the appropriate outcome.
I mean, it's the only
Who has questions?
legally available outcome.
And this was a case where the most severe charge was warranted, because I will tell you, I have been doing this job for a while. I've been a prosecutor for a long time. I haven't seen a crime like this. Chief Judge Escarati mentioned that
There aren't
this
many
is
like
a
this.
crime that rises to the top in her in terms of her career, in terms of severity and evilness. So the fact that we brought these aggravated murder charges, to us, it was necessary because that was the only charge that reflected the seriousness, the deviousness of this crime.
Were you surprised by Brendan's statement there?
I mean,
You know, I can't say I
the media asked, "Are you surprised by Banfield's statement?" I'm surprised he said it out loud, honestly.
was surprised. You know, I think it was part and parcel with how he testified at trial. I think that that same character that you saw when he took the stand in his own defense a few months ago came out again here today. A guy who pointed a finger at everybody other than himself. A guy who tried to outsmart the system. But in the final analysis, he did what he did. He was convicted. Now he has to pay.
So, Banfield has been sentenced. We knew he would be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I appreciate that Judge A was like, there have been very few times in my career that I have not struggled with the weight of sentencing. But today is one of those days where the weight of sentencing is not mine to bear. And Judge A, I think, was absolutely accurate in saying that this is an act of evil. And one would hope that his actions would haunt him in custody, but she doubts that it will. And I think she's absolutely correct on that. But to the witnesses in this case, like T. Patrick Smith, that came forward and clocked Banfield's bullshit, it's good to see. And for the jury, looking at Banfield's statements, Juliana's statements, I think it reminds us that you can not like a witness and believe them. You can look at a witness and be like, what are you doing? And still believe them. And I think Juliana also showed a staggering lack of remorse. Her decisions were hers, but the jury also, I think, looked at that and believed her story, as it was also bolstered by the digital evidence, and they did not believe Banfield. What more can the prosecutors really say? Because at this point, it is what it is. The strongest punishment in Virginia is life without the possibility of parole. LWOP, life, period. And that's exactly what Banfield was sentenced to. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.